that's when you know you're really creative, when you have limited resources and you just kind of make it happen.
Yeah.
When they did this Chanel show at Bergdorf's, my hats, now imagine, I was 23, 24, and my hats were on 57th Street, 5th Avenue, every window.
Wow.
Do I have a picture? No.
Oh my God.
Welcome to the Destination Saratoga All Access Podcast, brought to you by Discover Saratoga. Here is your host, Mackenzie Zarzicki.
This podcast takes you behind the scenes with the people shaping Saratoga County's vibrant culture, rich history, and thriving community. This episode is sponsored by Julie & Co.
Welcome back to Destination Saratoga All Access Podcast. I'm your host, Mackenzie, and today's episode is for the fashion lovers and hat aficionados. Today, I'm joined by one of the most creative hat makers in the world, Kokin. He's the visionary behind some of Hollywood's most unforgettable accessories. The statement hats in Clueless, Sex and the City, Pretty Woman, and who can forget that iconic brown and white polka dot dress in Pretty Woman with the perfectly accessorized hat. Now, he's in Saratoga Springs at the elegant Brookmere Hotel during a high-style extravaganza that is Travers weekend. I'll be chatting with Kokin about his journey from FIT night classes to dressing Hollywood legends and what it's like bringing his artistry to the race weekend fashion scene. Welcome, Kokin.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, great to be here.
Did you always know you wanted to be a hat maker or in the fashion industry?
Not at all.
No? So
No.
how did that come about?
I wanted to be an actor. And that's why I moved to New York from Buffalo. I'm originally from upstate New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I got a job selling and designing, which is a weird thing, furniture. I just designed a sofa for my apartment, and the company that made it liked what I did and said, hey kid, can you do more of this? And I said, sure. So it was near FIT, and I always loved fashion, and I just sort of wanted to see FIT, and I walked over, and it was course registration day. So I signed up for 3 night courses, which was public relations, photography, and millinery.
Wow.
And when I got into the millinery class, and I had no idea what the teacher was talking about, and I said, I'm not a fashion student, and I don't really know. And she said, are you interested? I said, yes. So stay, she said. And she liked me and liked what I was doing so much that she let me kind of do my own thing because it wasn't for a grade in a way. And I realized I had a gift, and I didn't know where it came from. But, I just had a thing, and I was raised with, my mother and my grandmother always wore hats. So they had their own milliner in Buffalo. And so I knew about hats. And so I thought, I'll make a hat for my mother and a hat for my grandmother and a hat for my girlfriend that I was living with at the time. And that was it. And then I just realized, I could probably make money at this. And I really wasn't very good at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. But so I started making some samples and started showing them to people, Women's Wear Daily. I had a little collection, and it just sort of took off. It snowballed. And I was fearless. I was so young that I was fearless. And it just took off. It was crazy. I went to Bergdorf Goodman to meet the buyer there. And he said to me, it's very retro. It's not really what we're about right now. However, they were bringing Chanel back to New York after many years when Karl Lagerfeld took over. So this was like 1983, 84. And, I was a kid. I was really a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. That's why I was so fearless. So he said, could you do some Chanel hats? I said, yeah, I could do anything, I said, do you have some pictures? And he took out one press picture and handed it to me.
Wow.
And so that was my reference, this one picture. And I didn't know, I had to think of the era, whatever. Anyway, I created a collection for Bergdorf's. They were calling me almost daily, when you had to go to the phone on the wall, and there was no cell phone. And when is it ready? When is it ready? And finally I took it to them, and the buyer was so excited. He took me upstairs to meet the president of Bergdorf Goodman, Don Mello, and it was a whole different time. She loved it. What I made, when I think about what I made now, that I pulled it out of thin air. That's when you're really creative, when you have limited resources and you just kind of make it happen.
Yeah,
and
totally.
And so it was really fun for me, and it was kind of like, an adventure, and I didn't really know what was happening. And you also think when you're young, the party will never stop, which of course, when you get older, you realize it can stop. But, and when they did this Chanel show at Bergdorf's, my hats, now imagine, I was 24, 23, 24, and my hats were on 57th Street, 5th Avenue, and 59th Street. Every window.
Wow.
Do I have a picture? No.
Oh my God.
Because I just thought, it's always going to be like that,
Yeah.
I don't have one picture of those windows.
Oh, man.
My hats were in every single window. It was
That's
crazy.
incredible.
Yeah, and there was a saleswoman in the hat department. At that time, they had a big hat department.
Yeah.
And she would call me on the phone, and she would leave me messages on my answering machine. Yeah, and she would say, she said, "Darling, I just want you to know Miss Welch was in today, and she bought 3 hats." Raquel Welch.
Oh my God.
"Darling, Miss Ross was in today, and she wants this hat in red. Can you, like this?" And she would, Diana Ross. It was
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
Grace Jones, this was, back then, celebrities didn't have personal assistants to go shopping for them. They actually went to the store.
Yeah.
It was a different time. It was really fun. New York was really crazy then,
That's incredible. Like for a 24-year-old especially, you reached such high success in such a quick time. What was that like? Like how do you sustain that?
Well, when it's happening to you, listen, I wasn't from the fashion world. I didn't really study to understand what was happening to me.
Yeah.
So I just said, of course, I want to make hats for Bill Blass. I'm going to call and ask for Bill. And I did. And he picked up the phone.
Wow.
I know. Like, "Hi, it's Kokin. I'm a hat designer. I'd like to make hats for Mr. Blass. Can I speak to him?" That's how young and stupid and, it was before the internet. It was before our exposure to it was naive. Bill Blass came to the phone. Oscar De La Renta did not. I spoke to his assistant. But I met with these people. I mean, I've done hats for Bill Blass, Pauline Trégère, who's dead. That's another story. We wouldn't recognize some of these names, but they were big 7th Avenue designers. Calvin Klein, Marianne Restivo, Zach Posen, but they were all very interesting. I mean, particularly Oscar De La Renta, meeting Oscar, it was like meeting an emperor. And Bill Blass, cursed like a sailor. I remember when I walked in to meet him and he was wearing this charcoal gray double-breasted suit, with his slick back gray hair. And he had this cigarette hanging out of his mouth and the ashes were just dripping down and I didn't say anything. And I was, when you walk in to meet these people, it's like going to meet Oz.
Yeah.
And I was really young. But I just thought, I belong here. Like, I never questioned it. I never went home and said, "Oh, I can't believe No, I belong here." But I wasn't staying there. See, that was the thing. It was just a gateway. I'm still going to be a star.
Yeah.
Look, my mother made me think I'm going to be a star. It was just a different time.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to make hats for a designer, if an American designer will let you make hats, that's another story. You have to go through so many people, you don't even meet them sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, Donna Karan, DKNY. one time I did a show right before DKNY, right before she sold the company. There was 50 girls on the runway and 50 hats.
That's
Every
amazing.
girl. Yeah, that was a cool show.
That's amazing.
So you know, you don't know.
So when did you decide I'm not going to pursue acting? I'm going to focus full time on hats.
I didn't decide. I'm still thinking about it.
I love it.
But I had no time. I was working night and day. I had a showroom in my apartment. It was no longer feasible to do that. I got a little space. I looked in the New York Times. I found an ad for a showroom. I went and rented this showroom. It was like more than my apartment rent. So it was probably like $600 and something. and it was a full floor, but it was just a showroom portion. And they had some sample makers in the back.
Yeah.
And it was a big empty space. It was a big garment company that was renting this loft, and they never used it.
Yeah.
One day, the guys came and they took away these two sewers that were working there. And I have found people, I was lucky to find people who were very good with their hands and could teach me things. And but by the way, I only took one semester at FIT in that class. I took the one class, I started the second class, and I couldn't anymore because I was...
So you just did this all out of your own creativity?
Yeah.
Self-taught?
Yeah. What I was lucky enough to have happen was I found some people who were very good craftspeople, you know, and so I could dream something up and learn by doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew how I wanted it done, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, you kind of feel like you stayed at the party too long because the business has changed.
Yeah.
And the retail climate has changed, and everything is Amazon and, you know, Temu or whatever. People just sit on the toilet and order their clothes.
Let's talk about that a little bit, though. So when you started, like you said, celebrities went out and shopped for themselves. People were wearing very high-end fashion dresses, hats. Times have changed. How have you stayed in the game?
What I was known for was classic with a twist, but then other people think of me as like crazy couture, you know, and they put me in that sort of peg. You know, I've always done, and I just made it bigger, beach hats. Packable is a big thing.
What's packable?
People want things that they can pack, that they can actually put in a suitcase and, you know, pull it out and have it look good. There's just a lot of the stores, the wonderful retailers that I've worked with over the years, merchants that I've learned things from.
Yeah.
They're gone. They're just not in business anymore. So
That's so tough. We talked a little bit off camera about even the machinery you used and how it's over 100 years old and how it's evolved. I want to talk more about your craftsmanship and the detail that goes into it, from the equipment that you use to the creativity, the themes, all of that. I just feel like we talked Amazon and Temu. This is an entirely different ballgame.
first of all, to manufacture in the United States is very difficult. It's very difficult to get materials. It's very difficult to get workers, people to do handwork or machine work. You know, the young people coming up, they don't want to do this.
Yeah.
They would rather focus on something. You know, you still have craftsmen. I have incredible people. Some of them worked for me many years. But it's hard to find. Like, you know, if this one, you know, breaks her legs or something, or this one gets hit by a car, you know, I can't make that kind of hat kind of thing. You know, it's weird. So what I do is very ephemeral at this point. It's like it's here today, but I don't know if I could do it tomorrow, you know. And I still have my hands on the hats. I do everything. I used to have 26 people working for me. Now I have 6. So I'm the designer. I've always been the designer. I never had a designer working for me. But I'm the production manager. I'm the purchaser. I'm the, you know, I oversee, you know, I'm the the purchasing manager. I like shipping, whatever. I'm wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
But that's what makes these hats so great, is they're so unique, every single one of them. Have you ever made the same hat twice?
Oh yeah, no. I have a collection that I do every season. It used to be much bigger because I had such a breadth of stores to sell to.
Yeah.
And that's the existing stores don't have hat departments anymore, most of them, like they used to. It was very competitive. And, at one time in New York City, on the corner of 57th and 5th, I sold to Bergdorf's, I sold to Bonwit Teller, I sold to a store called Charivari, which was the first store to bring Issa Miyake and Rei Kawakubo to the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. So Charivari, Bendel's. Bendel's was a great hat store. Bendel started as a hat store.
Wow.
Back in the day. And then I did Charles Rodin, all the hats for Charles Rodin.
Wow.
And which was like, you would say the Manolo Blahnik of the 70s, 80s, 90s,
That's impressive.
Everybody knew them, but then they went bankrupt. They were a French-based company. But that was just a weird thing. I was doing my first trade show, and I didn't know what I was doing. And this woman walked up with two guys, and they're all dressed up, and they liked my hats. And she said, "Would you be interested in making hats with our label?" And I gave her a whole song and dance about why would I do that? I'm a designer, and I'm building a brand, and why would I put someone else's name? Then I thought about it when I went home, and this is before I didn't know what I was doing, but I kind of knew instinctively. I called her up. She gave me her card. She goes, "What do you think about it?" And I said, "What if I did a label for you, Kokin for Charles Rodin, or Charles Rodin by Kokin?" She said, "Well, I'll run it by my boss, and I'll see." She called me back like within an hour and said, "Okay, you're on."
That's
and I said,
amazing.
"And I'll pay for the labels." Like, I thought that was very magnanimous at the time. And we started the business, and it rolled out to 35 stores. Wow. Yeah, it was crazy.
That is amazing.
Those things don't happen anymore. It just doesn't happen. You have to go through so many channels. Here I'm on the phone with the buyer, who is now a very dear friend of mine. We've been friends for all these years. And it just happened like that. And it was Charles Rodin. Can you imagine a French brand, and they've got this American guy designing hats for all their, and then I went to Paris, and they wanted me to do hats for Europe.
Now, here's a quick message from our sponsor. If you're ready to live in a vibrant downtown full of arts, activities, shopping, fine dining, and world-class thoroughbred racing, or you're drawn to the Adirondack Park with its lakes, trails, festivals, and restaurants, it's time to call Julie & Co. Realty, LLC, your hometown brokerage with local experts. Julie & Co. Realty, LLC gives you the insider's advantage on what's available in Saratoga Springs, the Capital Region, and the Adirondack Park. And with realtors who specialize in lakefront properties, second homes, historic homes, land and commercial listings, they have the premier agent you need to help you buy or sell with confidence. For more information, visit juliecorealty.com.
Let's talk about some of the popular movies that you did hats for. So Clueless, you did Dion's top hats, which became instantly like 90s icons. What did that experience mean to you?
And there's also, Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah, what was it, Cher? What was her name?
Cher Horowitz, the big feather hat. Well, that's interesting because right now it's the 30th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Of Clueless. And the costume designer, Mona May, and I have stayed in contact all these years, and she just wrote a book. It's more of a coffee table book than more informational. I'm going to be quoted in that book.
Yay, that's fantastic.
And they just, they did a big party in New York, and I recreated some of those hats
Oh my God, that's so cool.
for the party. So yeah, so we're going to sort of do a re-edition of those because people love it. And so see, even back then, I didn't copyright anything. So imagine I go to this party in New York at this store, And it's Louisa Via Roma in New York, there's only other one branch or store, I should say, in Florence, Italy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's on Bond Street, New York. So imagine they do this whole Clueless party, and I look, and they've got a merch table. And on the merch table is a Bratz doll wearing like a Chinese knockoff of my hat. Yeah. So, there's nothing I can do about it because there's no copyright. But anyway, so but look, at this stage in my life, I'm flattered,
Yeah.
I can't get off. Like maybe 30 years ago or something, I would have been like, what, how dare they? And, but yeah, it's not like that. That was really fun. The Pretty Woman is...
yes, we have to talk about Julia Roberts.
So that's a funny story. So I was doing a personal appearance at Neiman Marcus in Beverly Hills. I don't know if they still do this, but back in the day, the studios would send costume dressers and whatever to the store to just load up with stuff. And they would have a charge account, and they would take it to the studio. Whatever worked, and they would buy. Whatever didn't work, they'd bring back. So I'm standing at the counter at Neiman Marcus, Beverly Hills, and I had a model there and everything. And these two girls came by, and they were from the studio. And they've got all these clothes, armloads of clothes. And they're talking, and I'm just overhearing. And one said to the other, I think we need a hat for the polo scene. And so I said, oh, I can help you there, I said, what's she wearing? They held up the brown and white polka dot dress. And I said, oh, who's it going to be? And we can't say. Well, who's in the movie? We can't say. They couldn't say. Now, this was Julia Roberts' breakout film. So basically, even if they said the name Julia Roberts, I would have said, okay, I'm sure she's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they hold up the brown and white dress. I said, I have one hat, a white hat. And I pull the hat. And they're like, oh, I like that shape. I put it on the model. They liked the shape. And then they said, how are we going to tie it to the dress, though? I feel like we need something to make it come more together with the dress. And it had like the dress loop on the side with a self belt.
Okay.
And I whipped it off, and I wrapped it around the hat and tucked it in. And they said, that looks cool. And then the other girl said, yeah, but the dress still needs a belt. And I reached around, I think it was a Calvin Klein belt, and I pulled the thing. The dress is Ralph Lauren. And I said, what about this? It was the same brown.
Yeah.
And they said, that looks cool. Walked away with the pieces. I didn't see it. I didn't know anything about it until I'm watching the film like everybody else in a movie theater.
Oh my
there
God.
It was.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And I've had that's really sort of my experience, like even to this day. I would get requests from Sex and the City and Just Like That, different things, Ugly Betty, different TV shows, whatever. They request things, and then you give it to them, and you don't know if it's going to be used.
Wow.
Yeah. But I've been really fortunate. I have a lot of celebrities, beautiful women have worn my hats, men. Prince ordered hats by himself on the phone, which was funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talking about celebrities, you designed a fedora for Alicia Keys at the 2019 Grammys, and you told me a cute story about your son and when you watched on television. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, my son was 10, I guess. And we were watching the Grammys, and I knew that she was going to wear it. That I knew. That was for sure. I didn't know she was going to wear it for like 15 minutes on the show. That was a famous show because she was not only the host, but there was a segment where she was playing two pianos. I don't know if you remember. And she's wearing that hat, and and she wore the hat to give an award or whatever. My kid was so over the moon that Daddy's hat was on Alicia Keys.
Oh my God, I love
that
it.
He was jumping up and down in the bed. He hit his head on the ceiling. I mean, he was so excited.
Oh
really
my
cute.
God.
It's really cute.
That's
really
awesome.
Cute.
What does that feel like when you see someone wearing your hat on a movie or on television? I mean, that's so amazing.
Well, sometimes they have it on wrong.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So it kills the whole thing for me. Yeah,
oh my God.
It's like, I don't care who she is. She's wearing my hat and she's wearing it wrong. And, who did that and who did this, A good example, it wasn't my hat, but when Melania Trump at the inauguration, everybody, it was like a thing. Everybody was making fun of her because her hat was here. I would have gone nuts. What happened was her hairdresser didn't care, clearly, and he made her chignon too high, which tilted the hat forward too low on her forehead. So she looked like, I don't know, people compared it to the Hamburglar. I thought she looked,
Hamburglar.
Yeah. I thought she looked really chic, but as a craftsperson, as a milliner, I'm like, oh my God, if only they would have put it on her head right, it would have been a totally different day, But that's me.
Yeah.
That's the Virgo obsessing,
Well, only you would know that. And you.
Well, no. See, that's the thing. The whole world noticed.
Well, I've noticed it was wrong.
Right.
But how come more people don't know how to put them on correctly?
Well,
I would have no
the
clue.
hairdresser was obsessed with the fact that he got to do a hairdo on Melania Trump for the inauguration. So he made it all about the hairdo and not about the hat.
Yeah.
And then, probably a bunch of yes people around her going, fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah.
And nobody really looking and like, what do we do to make this even better?
Yeah.
So I wind up, when I'm fitting a woman for a hat, I'm telling her what to do with her hair. I'm telling her what to do, what jewelry to wear. Everybody's entitled to my opinion. But,
I love it.
yeah, but I have a vision, and then, but I also tell them the same thing. I say, look, once you pay for it, you can serve soup in it. I don't care. Yeah. But there's no ego involved with the piece once it leaves my hands, But I love to make a woman feel beautiful and look beautiful.
No.
Like, it's got to feel good too.
Yeah, totally. So you've mentioned the word milliner a couple times, and I know we talked about this briefly in the beginning. I was unaware what that is. Could you talk a little bit about the trade and the word and how everything has?
Well, the art of hat making
transpired.
is millinery. But hats are called millinery, and it's a millinery department is in a store is what they call it. And people who make millinery are milliners. But it's sort of like an old word. So I always say I'm a hat designer. I don't introduce myself as a milliner.
It seems like it's such a, I don't want to say old trade, but it's one of those things that's just legendary in a sense where, I want to bring it back. I want people to stop shopping online looking for the quick fix because there's so much time and creativity that goes into these pieces.
Well, the United Kingdom, they really respect millinery and milliners. And you have boutiques all over the UK, London, all across Great Britain and Ireland. But again, many of the stores I had one time sold in the UK are either gone or did away with their hat departments. It's really weird. But you have lots of milliners who have little shops all over.
Yeah.
So, I sold to Harvey Nichols. Harvey Nichols did so well with my hats that they used to reorder them.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but no longer. They don't have the hat department, and and it's much smaller, and they buy British made. Phoenix of Bond Street. Phoenix of Bond Street was a fantastic hat shop, and every year for Ascot, they would do all the windows with hats. It was all about the hat.
Yeah.
And they're gone. At one time, I was the only American hat designer at Harrods in London. Harrods, the hat buyer doesn't even come to the United States to shop.
That's such a shame.
So it's just different. It's just, even across the board, but it's still very viable in the UK, like I say.
But we did talk a little bit about your audiences, right? We said horse racing fans as well as car enthusiasts.
Follow the ponies and you'll find the hat people.
Let's talk a little bit about that because I think that's important. We don't have a royal family. I feel like in the UK, that's a huge thing. They dress nicely and they're very traditional. Here, I think the closest of what we would have would be, the horse racing industry and the car industry.
So look, everybody wears a derby hat. Everybody, you'll rarely find people without anything on their head. It's just a tradition.
Yeah.
And it's a nice tradition.
Love the tradition.
And we do a pop-up shop every year at the Seelbach Hotel in downtown Louisville.
During the Derby.
During the Derby. And, even if they come in and they say, oh, I brought my hats, but I just want to look. And I just say to them, we are not going to judge you for trading up. And,
I love that line.
Yeah. And a lot of those people, they have, more than one home that they can put things in. They have other events.
Yeah.
There are people that are very entrenched in the horse business. They have many events. And so the events are outside.
Yeah.
And so it's sunny or it's raining or whatever. So hats are sort of essential. And so we're doing more and more men's hats also. But yeah, I'm in Louisville every year.
I love that. And the car enthusiasts, we talk about how much they appreciate quality.
Right. So I do the Concours d'Elegance shows also. And I'm usually the only hat vendor. The car people, you're talking about people that own cars that are $500,000, $1 million,
Yeah.
$2 million, crazy, they're either like the first Rolls Royce that was ever built, or recently I did a hat for the owner of a car that just won Best in Show in Pebble Beach, where I was. And they won, and the car was a 1924 Hispano Suiza that is all covered with, it's a boat tail, comes to a point in the back almost. It's built in 1924. It looks like a futuristic car. Wow. It's all covered with tulip wood, polished tulip wood. And the seats are chocolate brown alligator.
Wow.
And,
talk about detail.
Crocodile. And and the car won Best in Show. Well, that car is $12 million. Well, she's not wearing a hat that she bought on Temu, sitting in that driver's seat, So I made something very special for her. Yeah. But there were 3 of my hats in the winner's circle.
Oh,
this year,
that's
just
amazing.
last week. Yeah.
Maybe you'll be in the winner's circle today on Travers.
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be exciting?
My hats bring people luck.
I love it. I can't wait to try some on.
Now, here's a quick message from our sponsor. Book lovers, mark your calendars. The Saratoga Book Festival returns October 2nd to the 5th, bringing best-selling authors, inspiring talks, and can't-miss events to downtown Saratoga Springs. Meet your favorite writers, discover new voices, and celebrate the power of storytelling. Learn more and plan your visit at saratogabookfestival.org.
So you said your hats aren't for the faint of heart. You've made them from everyone, from kids to chihuahuas to celebrities. Do you approach each client differently?
The chihuahua's name was Peaches, in case you're interested.
That's so cute.
Let me say this. My favorite thing is to blow their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. I had a lady here yesterday who said, I always see hats that I love them, and then I put it on and I don't love them anymore. She said, I like your hats, and when I put them on, I am in love. She didn't know what to buy.
Oh,
She's yeah.
that's quite the compliment.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, I just show you things that you would, or show you a way to be that you would never have thought of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's just my gift, I can look at somebody and I can say, this is going to work. Yeah. And show them something. Oh, I would never try that on. Okay. And then I put it on them. Especially when they say, I would never, ever touch that. That's the one I want to put on her.
I love that. So we've talked about Amazon, Temu, in a world of fast trends. You've said that well-made beauty is timeless, and I couldn't agree more. How do you balance creativity with craftsmanship in your work?
It's harder and harder because you don't have the hands. It's very limited. It's hard to get materials. It's hard to get the machinery. It's hard. Everything is hard. It used to be you could just walk out the door and go here and go there and go there and just pick up everything you needed.
Yeah.
Now it's much more planning, but it also forces me to be more creative in a way, because you have to make do. It's almost like wartime when you had to make do with, what you have. It's out there. You just have to really source it.
Yeah.
You have to really work. You have to order things from abroad. Everything I have is made in the United States.
That's amazing.
However, pretty much every trim or whatever I use comes from some other country. Made in USA of imported materials. It's just the way it is. You know, we don't weave fabric in the United States anymore. There was a time when I did hats for Eddie Bauer, 50,000 bucket hats. And they would give me a swatch of some old dead man's flannel jacket or something that they bought at Goodwill or whatever. And they liked this tweed and they wanted that exact color combination made exactly like that. And maybe they would do a second color combination or whatever.
Yeah.
And I could go to a mill that was based in North Carolina or something, and they would duplicate that wool.
Wow.
Yeah, they're gone.
Oh.
They're gone. It wouldn't happen now. And Eddie Bauer wouldn't go to an American to make their hats. They would go to China or Vietnam or Bangladesh. It's just, yeah, that's the world.
It's sad. So, taking all of this in, what advice would you give a young creative who wants to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, don't do it.
I hate to laugh, but it's sad.
It's true because when I started, it was a joy and it was exciting and it was, you never knew what was going to fall in your lap.
Yeah.
You know, like I've just described a few things. Doesn't happen like that. Rarely. It doesn't happen like that anymore. It just doesn't. It's not, the world doesn't make it possible.
Yeah.
I mean, rarely. My mother, you know, I wanted to be an actor. Not that she was a stage mother or anything, but if I was in a show that opened at 8, she was laying across the front row at 4:30. But she would say, you know, she used to say, she wanted me to do that. She loved that I did that, but she wanted me to also have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, communications. I could do like, you know, well, at that time we didn't have podcasts. So it was like, you know, whatever, TV or something. So I started taking communications, and the school that I went to in Buffalo, the college that I went to in Buffalo, only had one communications teacher, and I could not listen to him. I was falling asleep. It just droned. And so I said, okay, this isn't for me. And at the time I had a jewelry business that I started when I was 17. Fine jewelry.
You are such an entrepreneur.
And so
Go get her here.
that for sure started really early. I used to paint when I was 14 years old. My mother printed business cards for me, abstracts to order. I sold 4 of them. But then when I started the jewelry business when I was 17, I was dating a girl whose father bought for a chain of jewelry stores. And so he introduced me to somebody, and I started selling out of a gym bag, gold chain. It was like the disco era. So 14, 18 karat gold. And I amassed an inventory and I built a business. So I started designing jewelry.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's really where I started really designing things. And then just, you know, then I fell into the hat thing. I mean, look, you know, everybody says follow your passion and you'll be successful. You'll never work a day in your life. I mean, you know, you have to pay the rent. You have to pay for food.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, make a car payment or whatever your priority is. It's hard. And young people don't get the respect or the chance a lot of times that they should. You know, I feel like the world is always sort of on this precipice, and like everybody, it's very rare that you find people taking risks on a young person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The fashion business, I mean, it's all about the numbers. And the buyer is here today and gone tomorrow. I had buyers for 20 years. Now, 2-3 years, and they're on to something else. It's the only way they can promote them in the store.
Yeah.
Instead of just giving them a raise or whatever it is, they give them more responsibility. They burn them out too. Yeah. So, like I said to you, the hat buyer is now the hat, scarf, eyewear, gloves, cold weather.
Yeah.
And they have to cover all this category with like 2 assistants maybe.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, you had 5 buyers to do all that, you know.
Times have changed.
It's different.
Well, that's what makes these hats so special, because I feel like this type of quality, this type of product, it's so rare that it really makes it that much more special, and it's worth paying more for quality. Something unique, like you said, that's going to make you feel beautiful and you'll have forever.
Listen, I see my hats, I've had, women walk up to me in places and say, do you recognize this? Sometimes I don't.
Really?
No, I make thousands of hats, but I've made thousands of hats over the years. I'm doing this since 1984. And I was only 11 when I started. But, it's a thing when you see that they stand the test of time, that they still look great, that people want the hats from Clueless that I did 30 years ago.
Yes. Oh my God, I still remember the flip phones and the convertible. Like, that's epic.
There's a movie that I did the hats for many years ago, whatever it was, 25 years, I don't know, whatever it is, Dr. T and the Women, which was filmed in Dallas. And there's hats almost in every scene. And then there's a big wedding scene at the end where all the women are wearing hats, and I did the headpieces for the flower girls and the bridesmaids and the bride and everything. So cool. And it's a Robert Altman film. And I actually was in Dallas for part of the filming. And I stood next to Robert Altman, you should rest in peace, very funny man, who was the director. And he was with this big camera thing and whatever. And I said, don't worry, Mr. Altman, I'll be very quiet. He said, oh, I know you will. He looked at me, and I watched the whole scene being shot.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, so
did you fix all the hats so they were on correctly?
I didn't have to fix anybody. The film basically ends with the climax of the film is this wedding scene with all these wedding guests out in the garden, and there's like a hurricane that happens. So I didn't know that all these things I made were going to get whipped into a wind and rain machine.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everything was ruined. Everything was ruined. But they paid me, so,
That's amazing, though. So many hats in one film.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Sex and the City has been a real wild ride, and Just Like That thing. And, and that was another one where you just gave them things and then hoped they worked it in. Yeah. They would tell you what they wanted or what they liked. Yeah. And then, sometimes they shoot scenes and the girl is all dressed, whatever, Sarah or whoever it is. And then they cut the scene. Yeah.
Now, here's a quick message from our sponsor. Looking for your next unforgettable night out? Let Metroland be your guide. Whether you're craving rooftop cocktails, chef-driven cuisine, or the best live music in the capital region, Metroland connects you with the pulse of Saratoga and beyond. It's your go-to source for where to go, what to do, and who's making waves in the local scene. From hidden gem restaurants and bar openings to weekend event guides and exclusive interviews with the area's top creatives, Metroland brings the capital region to life one story at a time. So before you plan your next night out, check out themetroland.com and follow the Metroland on Instagram. Metroland, discover your scene.
Or they take the hat off or they change the dress or whatever.
Oh, have you ever met Sarah Jessica Parker?
I have not.
No.
Nope. No.
She seems like a nice person.
No, yeah. I do a lot of hats for Lauryn Hill.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've loved her music, and she's very creative, and she is obsessed with clothes and fashion. She gives me the idea. I don't give her the idea. She tells me what she wants, and then I sort of come up with it, and then I'll make suggestions along the way, or I'll see a fabric or something or a leather that I think she would like, and I'll send her that. But she gives me the direction.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. I have learned so much, and I'm so impressed with your go-getter attitude. I mean, that's how you get stuff done, is to just go up there like you own the place. And I feel like that was a big part in your success, is the confidence.
What? Here's the thing. I didn't care.
Love that.
Because I never thought I was going to be doing this long.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a stepping stone. And so I approached it with a different, thing. It wasn't like, oh, this is going to be my life. Yeah. Never. Yeah. And so that's why I was able to do the things I did, because I didn't care. There were certain triumphs that you go, oh, wow. Wow. But there's also, failures
Yeah.
or stores that went out of business and owed me money,
Yeah.
That was horrible, and that's, for years that happens, I had a buyer at Lord & Taylor. I had a hat, a little beret that I was doing that was very special that Lord & Taylor, as an example, everybody bought it, but it was like a great hat. But they would buy it every season and buy more and more because they sold it so well. And then all of a sudden they buy the knockoff. And they put the knockoff next to my hat. And it was, this weird, things like that. That's the business. And so you have to kind of let it roll off your back. Like I say, you can't, I couldn't copyright anything because all they have to do is, put the bow on this side or whatever, and then it's a different hat. So, yeah.
Well, you have a great story, and I feel like you have many successes. And just looking around here, there are so many beautiful hats that I cannot wait to try on. Do you want to maybe walk around and look at some of the hats and talk about them?
Why don't we do that?
I would love to.
I will do that.
A hat that I came up with, and it's really one of my best-selling, most popular hats. It's not one of the most expensive, but what you do with it, put the hat on, and have these ribbons. You can change the ribbon. You could put a scarf in there. And what we do, this is the way I do it. You can tie it back in a ponytail, or you just do it like in a bow like that. And the great thing is that you can shape it any way you want. You can get about 10 hats out of one hat.
Oh, I love that.
And I've got a million colors. See if she wants to really protect herself from the sun. It's great like that. You can do this if you're in a convertible or on a boat.
Oh.
You can tie it under your chin, But this is pretty stable, just like that,
Yeah, I feel snug.
right? And she can hide or she can show out. And then the best part is it's packable. So all that glamour, and you can throw it in your suitcase. Yep.
I love that.
Or you can put it in the center of the table like this, and you put guacamole in the center and then chips around.
No.
Yeah.
I love that hat.
Yeah, it's going, right?
Yeah.
So thanks to really Kate Middleton. I mean, I have to give it to her. She made the fascinator kind of a thing, really made it more. And young women want to emulate her and look like that.
Yeah.
And have that kind of regal chic. So if you notice, she usually wears her hair back. I always say you either wear the hat or the hair. You can't wear both. And so, so this kind of thing here, for example, this is a fascinator. We also call them hattinators.
Neater. I
And
like
this
that.
Yeah, and this is all silk chiffon, rosettes here. And I'm trying to get the hang tag out. But here, you go, very easy to wear. You don't have to think about it. It's on a headband and it's got clothes. See? And we've got the little flourish of feathers there. Those are all hand-cut feathers.
Oh, I love that it's sideways.
And then I do things like this. I do a matching stole, so you can kind of complete the look.
So cute.
I'll show you. Here's another fascinator. So we keep the same scarf on, for instance, and we do something like this. Now, so what's also great about a lot of fascinators is it gives you height, So I always say to, especially petite ladies, I say, well, I can't make you grow, but I can make you look taller. So look, see?
So cute. So how do you know if it slants or if it goes straight? I would never think.
All right, so here's my thing. This is my thing. First of all, women's hats are usually, if they're tilted, they tilt to the right. It has something to do with back in the day when the carriages would splash, or I don't know. That's also why the man walks on the street side if he's escorting a lady, But anyway, I don't know why. I should know why, but it's something to do with that, some old custom.
Always goes
But
right.
yeah, but a lot of people say this is my good side, and so they tilt it the other way. But when I design a hat that's profiled, like this is definitely asymmetrical, I do it to the right. For me, when you look at someone, doesn't matter what their height is, when something's going up, your eye is instantly drawn up, you see? And so you look taller, it accentuates the cheekbone, you know, it makes it a little sexy if it's over one eye a little bit. And that's my philosophy with that. So I don't just do hats, I'm known for hats, but I will do other accessories. Like for instance, right here we did this bustier, all hand beaded, and then I did a matching hat.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Right? And then, so I'm known for my top hats. I don't know why. I'm the only one that does them. These sort of dressy, kind of fun, whimsical top hats. So here's one, tied in. And you can see we line it with silk.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the little details.
Oh.
Like that. And then, and you see, people are just as happy to see her coming as going. See, it's pretty in the back. So we have a matching bustier, and I did this stole.
Oh,
you know, yeah. So nobody really does that. I mean, it's very couture. It's all done by hand. It's hours and hours and hours and hours of work. It's almost a stupid question when people ask, how long does it take you to make a hat? It's, you know, the labor in it alone. Like when you see something like this, you know, we sew all of this in New York. This is not done in China. It's not a lot of designers.
Yeah.
They'll buy a thing made in China and they'll put their own stuff on it. We don't do that. We make everything to order. Every hat is unique. Girls love feathers, so
Yes.
we do a lot with feathers. Feathers are always very feminine. They move. This hat looks like, you know, it'd be a lot of work to wear and heavy, whatever, but it's really not. It's on a frame. We put it on a headband. So that's more of a hat nader because it's bigger. It's a full-grown hat. And we do that on a headband. And tell me, it doesn't feel heavy at all, right?
No.
And it's right in place.
This one totally gives me Clueless vibes.
Yeah.
Love it. S.
It's
So pretty.
yeah, and it moves, you know, if there's a breeze, it's sexy, it's, you know, there's nothing more feminine. You know, feathers are sort of light,
Yeah.
ethereal, and yeah.
It's so cute.
So, and these are, it's a boa that's made for me. They don't really make boas that much anymore that are long. Mm-hmm. You know, then the feathers are hand cut.
Wow.
These are really fun. I do these jewel berets.
Ooh.
Yeah, and these are really popular. This is something that we've been selling for years, and the jewels are hand sewn.
That is so pretty.
And it's just, you know, look, it doesn't have to be a big event or celebration. You know, you're going out for dinner one night. Maybe your roots are coming in. Maybe
Roots are coming
Yeah, maybe your roots are coming in. Maybe you didn't have time to do,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And you just put the little beret on, even with pants.
So cute.
Here, even with the hair down. You know, think of Faye Dunaway and Bonnie and Clyde, right?
So cute.
So look, it just totally makes you dressed up.
It's so cute.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great hat to wear for Christmas.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I never thought in a million years I could pull one of these off.
No, you have a good face for hats. Yeah,
Thank
do.
you.
High cheekbones, yeah.
Thanks.
Very expressive eyes, yeah. Not everybody has a hat face, but there's a hat for every face.
Wow.
But not every, when you say a woman has a hat face, that means she can pretty much put everything on, anything on.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've had a few of those in Saratoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
So these poppies. Yeah.
Like a garden.
Yeah. And they're just fun. And they just bring a smile to people, you know? And, you know, little kids are drawn to it. And, you know,
My daughter would love it.
Yeah, it's just, and so I've been doing these for a couple of years now, all different versions, you know, and there's really no two exactly alike. The thing about hats that's really, I think that's really cool, that's the word, is that they speak to you before the person speaks to you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You know, from across the room, somebody will make a judgment about somebody, or they'll want to meet this person that's wearing this crazy hat.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, I had a store on Lexington Avenue in New York for many years, and I had a customer. She wasn't particularly beautiful, conventionally beautiful, but when she put on the hat, she became a whole other person, and people would cross the street to meet her, and she loved that attention, you know, that she never got in her everyday life. You know,
That's amazing.
Yeah, and she would buy some of my most extraordinary pieces. She goes, I don't want it unless it's fabulous. I'm like, you know.
No.
Yeah. So I love that. I love something that gives somebody confidence. It's really fun.
100%.
You know?
It's a showstopper.
But also, you know, or breaks the ice for them.
Yeah.
You know, makes a hat can make you someone, make a part of you that you don't show to the world come out.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. I already feel more confident.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah.
This podcast is produced by Discover Saratoga and Bright-Sided Media.
Please like, subscribe, rate, or review our show. Thank you.